What's up, everybody? Matt Belair here, and I wanted to make this video to make a very special announcement, letting you guys know that the Mastermind Body and Spirit show has reached 1 million views, and I wanted to thank you from the bottom of my heart. I sincerely appreciate you. In this video, I'm going to share my top lessons that I've learned from interviewing over 300 guests in personal development, spirituality, paranormal, consciousness, and everything under the sun. If you watch the show, you know we have a wide diversity, and I'm also going to do a giveaway. So stay tuned to the end of the video. It's going to be short and sweet. So again, the first thing I'd like to do is just thank you, the viewer. Thank you to everybody who's tuned in. Thank you for leaving your comments. Thank you for those who have shared and done anything to support the show. You've told your friends about it. Just anything at all. I sincerely appreciate you. I want to thank my patrons. If you go to patreon.com/Matt Belair, those people over there have helped this show progress. It's been 5 years, full-time work, some weeks 40 to 60 hours a week. Usually people ask me how I did it. I had a big loan for the first couple of years. I made money in marketing and some coaching here and there, but I was really dedicating to just doing as many high quality shows as possible because I was so inspired to speak to these people, to learn myself, to share these messages. And I hope that you've gotten value. I've hoped that's in some way the podcast has helped you and improved your life. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. So now the most important lessons that I have learned along the way. The first one is you are enough right now as you are. Now, this one is more important than you realize. I know it's not glamorous like a 10x sort of thing, but really, if you can understand that life is like a very long process, or if you were a seed, if you plant a seed in the ground, it needs to be a seed and then it needs to sprout out from the soil. And that's a huge step. Then it begins to grow a stem, and then, leaves come out, and then eventually it becomes the flower it was always meant to be, or whatever the case is. But if that flower or that seed is kind of limiting itself and really hard on itself when it's under the dirt, and it's hard on itself when it hasn't flowered, and it's hard on itself the whole entire process, it's going to be a very terrible experience. And if you think about the life of a child, you look like at a 5-year-old, you don't yell at them for not being able to ride a bike, or not having a job, or not being successful. We have these ideas in our mind, and we're always trying to get to the next step. And when we get to that next step, we're, enough at that step. And if you think about that 5-year-old on a bike, like, what are you worthy when you're 10 or 15, when you start thinking of for yourself, or when you graduate university, or when you get your first job, or you get your first raise, or you get your first house, or you have a wife and kids, or you have enough retirement. And so you can see, if you space it out, you realize that we are always growing and always evolving. So the first, and I think probably the most important lesson, is to realize, recognize, believe, and be enough as you are right now, wherever you are in the process. Even if it's messy and terrible and hard and you've got all these problems, that's totally fine. It's a part of life, because if you can then take that idea and that energy and that recognition, you have time to grow, you have time to change it. And that's what life is all about, is really overcoming those things, overcoming those challenges that we all face. So that is number one. Number two is that you are more powerful than you realize. You can literally do anything. And I know this sounds like a wallpaper poster, but it's totally true. The biggest thing is that people don't consider what they could do over a lifetime. What would you do over a lifetime? What would you be willing to commit your life to? If you look at the work of Michelangelo, and I saw this quote come up a few weeks ago, and it just talked about how all these incredible people in history, they did their best work when they were 60, 70 years old. So they took a lifetime to master their craft. So what would you be willing to do or enjoy for a lifetime? And if you can think about that and just recognize how powerful you are, how capable you are, you will then begin to just think about the idea of what is possible if I really dedicated myself to it. When I was in China, I was training with Shaolin monks, and one of those monks could break stone with 2 fingers. And when I interviewed him, I said, how is this possible? What's the trick? And he said, no trick. And I said, what's the trick? Come on, I know there's a trick. He said, no trick. I said, come on, man, what's the trick? And there's a translator translating. And the third time he could recognize what I was saying, he started slamming his fingers down on the table. And he said something like 8 years of Qigong, which was, soft Qigong, meditation, directing the energy, understanding the body. But also it was 8 years or so of hard Qigong. And that's conditioning the body, like punching and kicking trees. There were dent holes outside the trees of the Shaolin Academy from literally poking trees with your fingers. It's absurd. But that was what it took for him to break stone with 2 fingers, to do something that most people will believe is impossible. And I asked him if anybody could do it. And he said, yes. But the problem is, most people are not even going to try. And those who do, most of them are going to give up just before they get there. So when you're thinking about your life and meaning and purpose and what you have, what you want to do that's valuable, give yourself a lifetime to do it, because you need to get stability with a job. But don't leave your passions and who you are and who you came here to be on the side and completely forget about it. Even if you just chip away a little bit over a long period of time, will have a massive change in the direction and experience of your life. So you are completely capable. You are an infinite being with infinite possibility. So you are capable of anything for real if you give yourself a lifetime to do it. Now, the last one is be kind to yourself in the process. So many people have such a tough inner critic. They are self-sabotaging all over the place. They're so concerned with what other people are thinking. When I'm coaching people, what I like to say is, they're like, a lot of times they're talented writers or talented artists or want to write a book or do a podcast or do something that's of service to people. And they have the skills and expertise or the desire to learn those things to make a difference. And they have all the capability to do it, but their internal dialogue is so defeating. And what I like to share with them is, I say, you want to get to the point, let's say you're a writer, to write something, or you're an artist to do some art, or you're a podcaster, do a podcast, or write a book, or anything that you really want to do and that's meaningful to you. If you can get to the point where you do that piece of work, you put it out to the world, and everybody you know, your friends, your family, people you don't know, they write you handwritten letters telling you, Matt, that was the worst podcast I've ever heard. Matt, your show sucks. Matt, Zen Athlete was so terrible, I can't even believe it. And they just tell you how awful you are. If you could get to the point where you're okay with that and you do it anyway, that would be the most empowering space that you can get to. Now, obviously, that would be pretty challenging. I probably couldn't do it myself, but the idea is that when we're creating the external world, that's not up to us. When we're expressing from the honest, truest, deepest parts of ourselves, it's going to take us time to learn. My first podcast, you can go back to the first 50 or 60. I was introducing the show as like, hello and welcome. This is Matt Belair, and welcome to the Mastermind Body and Spirit Show. And it's so, sad and monotone, but I did my best, and I'm still doing my best. And I'm sure I'm going to look back in time and see these and be like, wow, I had a lot of space to improvement. But if I didn't show up, if I didn't try, if I didn't practice, I couldn't be here where I am today. And I just held that mission and I held that intention. My intention was to interview the most inspiring, authentic, kind, wise people of service to humanity and share their wisdom and stories. And that intention inspired me. That carried me through. That got me through all of the hurdles. Is a super bumpy road. My partner likes to call this my volunteer job, because, podcasting doesn't necessarily mean money in the bank. And usually if you're going to be pursuing your passion, money isn't going to come immediately. You need to be able to persevere. You need to be able to overcome all of those hurdles. So it needs to be something meaningful enough for you to get over whatever roadblock is going to come, and they're going to come. But if, again, you play the long game and you are kind to yourself, if you register your internal dialogue and just, learn to be your number one supporter, your number one cheerleader. And this is something that I'm working on. I definitely could always use improvement with what's going on in my head, but I make sure that I'm taking action to what's most important to me. And as a bonus, I'm going to say journal. Of all the people that I've podcasted with and people who had transformations in the way that they said, my life was like this before and I really didn't like it and I had such a challenge and I hated it. Now my life is exactly how I want it and I'm so excited to be doing this and I'm so inspired. I'm living my purpose. Almost all of them journaled. They started to write down, who am I? What do I want? What do I want to create? What's most important to me? How do I want to live my life? And you need to take the time to do that. So I hope that you enjoyed those tips. And now let's get into the contest and giveaway. So for the million listens podcast, it's a terrible giveaway name. If you share any episode, just share any episode on Facebook. Make sure to tag me at Matt Belair Official or at Matt Belair, or on Instagram, tag me at Matt Belair, or you can send me a screenshot, Matt at Zen Athlete, and just share it with anybody. I'll enter you into a draw for a free membership to the Mastermind Body and Spirit Academy. I will also give you the Zen Athlete Complete program. You don't need to be an athlete. It is a course in self-mastery. The reason I chose Zen Athlete is because I'm Trojan horsing consciousness and self-mastery into sports. So kids all over the world will hopefully learn this and not even understand why, because if you understand these techniques, is literally how to do something you've never done before. From an athlete doing a trick that is never done before, if you apply that psychology to what you want to do in your life, if you apply the psychology that Master Go, the Shaolin monk, did to break stone, and that type of dedication, 8 years to your vision with this mental training, it has to happen. You will have massive momentum. The challenge is we get in our heads and we quit before we even enter the game. The goal is to get in the game, to stay in the game, and to keep persevering, to keep taking action, to stay consistent, and keep taking action towards things that are meaningful to you, and you can sort it out. So if you share any episode, send me an email, Matt at Zen Athlete, or just tag me. I'm going to put you in a draw for all of that, for an access to the academy. And I will be doing 3 one-on-one coaching calls. So I'm going to draw 5 winners for the academy. Let's do 10 winners. I'll do 10 winners for the academy, and I will do 3 one-on-one coaching calls. I'm kind of making it up on the spot. I wanted to do this video when I hit 2 million downloads on the podcast. And what I'm really happy about actually is that the show has over 100 million minutes listened. It's a very long show, so it's something I'm proud of, because when you see an hour and a half, you might not want to sit down and watch that. And people always told me, make it shorter, you'll get more views, but that wasn't my intention. I wanted to really listen to these experts. And if you've heard some of these people on the show, you'd think, how the heck do you get all of their wisdom in half an hour? These people are spectacular. So that's it. Once again, thank you to all of the viewers. Thank you so much for watching. Thank everybody. Thank all of my guests for coming on and sharing your wisdom. I appreciate you. I hope that the show has supported you in your life. And yeah, thank you for all of your support. And I will continue to do the show to the best of my ability. All of my love, appreciation, and gratitude. And I'll see you for the next million. Peace.